These past few months, I've been working on this project. BUNGER hunger strikes my brain. And today, in this video, I'm going to show you how I created this transition, from the very beginning to the final result. I'll start by giving you the context behind the short film, the reflection behind the transition, and how all of that turned into motion using After Effects. So, let's begin with the first step, context. In 1 month, with one scenario on the theme Forbidden Area, and with a team of 4, we had to create a short film around 45 seconds. We called that the challenge. Before jumping into this challenge, everyone had to write a scenario, and my script was selected to become the base of our film. Being chosen as scenarist also placed me in the role of director. That meant I had to share my vision with my team, transcribe to them the intentions that I had. Like, what message did I want to convey? How did I imagine the character looking? What animation style was I aiming for? All those questions you can ask yourself when you're writing a story. For some of them, I had answers, and for others, things were more blurred. Together, we found answers to these blurry questions by searching references, developing ideas, and talking about it. Days passed, and the universe that we were building around this scenario kept evolving, growing bigger and bigger. And that's how we gave shape, little by little, to our artistic direction. Showing contrast was one of the main goals, considering we have 2 worlds. The fast food, representing the real life where the character works, and the imaginary worlds, representing the character's mind and desires.
The only thing they had in common was that they both revolved around the character. Everything else, the setting, the animation, the colors, even the emotions, stood in opposition. It was crucial to make sure everyone understood that these were 2 different places. But questions emerged. What lies in between? How do we transport the character between these 2 worlds? We needed to find a transition. Like we saw before, the fast food exists in reality, while the imaginary world only exists in the character's mind. And we need something in between to make him pass through these worlds. Even with intentions in mind, the transition sequence was extremely blurry. My vision of it was more metaphorical than visual. Even with a storyboard and a color script reflecting our intentions, it wasn't enough to get a proper idea of this transition. But as we talked, time was running out. The longer this sequence stayed unclear, the more time we were losing. We needed to fix it quickly so the team could move forward with a clear mind. And then, suddenly, a concept stood out. It didn't take long to make it, but doing it made us take a big step forward. We explored many variations of it, but finally decided to stick with the first one, which felt the most relevant. My vision of this sequence became clearer, and with that, now, we just needed to make it move, to give life to this concept. So, it left me with one thing to do. I opened After Effects. To realize this transition, I didn't need much more than some pre-made animations that I asked to our animator. First one was the wall animation, and second one was the floor animation. That's all. I just needed the movement. To start this scene without being lost, we need to go step by step. First, concept analysis. We have 3 main colors from the same green palette, representing the fast food arena. We have rows of geometrical shapes, all composed of circles and stars, along with squares formed by the grid placed on top. It created a tiling pattern referring to the fast food counters tiles already present. Finally, you can notice that the whole frame is a bit curved. Now that we studied it, we can really start working on After Effects. I'm creating a first composition with a green square morphing into a circle. For this part, you can check up the tutorial that I used while doing it. This composition corresponds to one tile. I'm creating a new composition with that tile that we just made. I duplicate it to make a row. I'm not using the effect CC Repetal because it creates holes in my duplication when I do it. So here I prefer to duplicate the tile manually using Ctrl+D. With this one row, I duplicate it again using the same process to create several rows in a new composition. Our morphing rows are done. Let's add the grid. In a new composition, I traced a horizontal line and a vertical line with the pen tool. I duplicate these two lines by using the copy parameters available for shape layers. I made many copies, knowing I'd move the position of it later. In a new composition, I'm putting my rows in my grid, and I animate their position to make them move in a certain direction. And again, in a new composition, I'm adding a green solid for the background, and an adjustment layer where I applied color keys to shift it to the wave colors we had seen before. On this composition, I'm using a flow motion effect, animated to create a kind of absorption and deformation. I'm also here using a CC Repetal effect to hide the holes caused by the deformation. Finally, I masked it into the animation we had and applied a warp effect to give the curved shapes we had in the concept. And it's done. Pretty simple, right? If I had to do it again today, I'd probably change some parts, like the grid composition. But overall, I think I did a pretty clean job here. Of course, before getting to this result, I tried different effects and possibilities. Without further ado, let's move on to the floor. First, concept analysis again. The main shape is the pink wave, composed of 3 strips of pink variant. In the back, we have little waves, and in the front orange bubbles. But these looked more like 2D animation FX related, which isn't something doable in After Effects, at least not that I know. I'll start by creating the wave motif. I'm creating a first composition with a solid and an adjustment layer, using a fractal noise and a CC threshold effect to generate wavy shapes in black and white. Then in a new composition, I'm using a pink solid and masked it with Luma Matte so it only kept the white shapes. I'm repeating this process for a second strip with another shade of pink. Finally, I add a lighter pink solid for the background. Of course, if you want to see more details, don't hesitate to check up the tutorial that I used, which explains the process of it. Then, in a new composition, I added a common effect, posterize time, which I often use to lower the frame rate and give more of a traditional 2D feeling instead of a clean interpolation. The base of the floor is done. I just have to mask it in the main composition like we did for the wall. I'm also applying effects and blending modes to improve the look. And it's practically done. The rest isn't creation but adjustments and compositing, like background adjustment and floor that I remade to match the perspective and the rotation. 2D FX adjustments, color, light and glow. Character adjustments between the two worlds from green to pink. Of course, for some parts I tried different things, like for the character. If you noticed it in the concept, he's blue, so I tried to render him like it. But it didn't feel right, so we opted for a pink version matching the wave he's in. Now, you know everything about this scene. I could also explain many other scenes we worked on, but I chose this one in particular because everyone in our team played a part at different stages of the production in this scene. The process I went through, with all its challenges, was for me the most interesting but also new for me. This scene and its process really stood out from the rest of the short film. If you haven't seen BUNGER yet, now is the time, since you now know a bit more about the making of and the background of it. I encourage you to watch it, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for watching. See you soon.